Warning. The following video contains spoilers for The Eagle Has Landed. It's 50-year-old. It's 50-year-old. You should have watched it by now if you want to watch it. But I'm just warning you. There will be some spoilers. I try not to spoil everything. But, yeah. Okeydoo. Hey up, Rayvers. The great Robert Duvall sadly passed away a few weeks back. So I thought we ought to take a look at one of his films and a little bit of a tribute. So I asked the Nickel Ratrons over on my Patreon page for their Robert Duvall suggestions. And there were some all-time classic movies on the rotating review randomiser. But I can't pick it. The rotating review randomiser decides. And it selected The Eagle Has Landed. Yes, the eagle has landed, but it looks a bit more like Where Eagles Dare from the start of this as we're whizzing around the mountains. Loads of famous folk in it. And it's directed by John Sturges of Great Escape and Magnificent Seven fame. And it opens with Anthony Quayle as Admiral Canaris, who calls in Colonel Ruttle, played by Robert Duvall with an eye patch. And he's doing that thing where he's got a leather glove on and pretending he's got a wooden hand. But obviously he ain't got a wooden hand, has he? We've got a plastic shoe on, which has got a plastic hand on it. And sometimes I'll put that up my sleeve. And it really unnerves Denise. Anyway, Admiral Canaris is fresh back from a meeting with Hitler. And he's giving Colonel Ruttle the lowdown.
He merely wants Winston Churchill brought from London to Berlin. And we are ordered to make a feasibility study.
So Ruttle gets planning. And the Nazis have got some intel that Churchill is going on a visit to the Norfolk village of Studley Constable. Sounds a bit like a West Indian cricketer's name, doesn't it, Studley Constable? A lot of English villages like that, isn't there? This one's a fictional one, though. But what started out as a box-ticking feasibility study now suddenly looks like it's got legs.
After visiting a local bomber command, Churchill will spend a weekend in a country manor less than 7 miles from a deserted coastline. At any other time, this report would mean nothing. At this particular time, and in that particular file, it becomes a circumstance which titillates.
Titillates, yes. Understated performances from Duvall. This colonel is very composed, very calculating, very much in control. Very different to some of Duvall's other 70s performances.
It's a big, fat, big-titted hit!
Yes, this ain't like that. But who are they going to get to undertake this top-secret operation of kidnapping Churchill? Paratroop Colonel Kurt Steiner, played by Michael Caine. Now, we find out quite a lot about Colonel Steiner in this introductory scene. Firstly, we find out that he's a good German, because he tries to rescue this Jewish girl who's looking to do a runner so she doesn't get sent to a concentration camp. He doesn't hesitate in sticking up for her when these Nazis start knocking her about. But we also see that his men have unwavering loyalty to him. So he obviously is a good leader, inspirational leader, isn't he? Crikey, he's struggling to carry her though, isn't he? She's only a little girl. Come on, Michael. I know you're not known for your athleticism. Although Steiner's intervention ain't exactly helpful because the girl promptly gets shot. So this scene reinforces how horrible the Nazis are, while showing us that Colonel Steiner is an honourable bloke, just doing his job, and his men obviously like-minded, although I think he could do with working on some snappier one-liners.
He reminds me of something that I occasionally pick up on my shoe in the gutter. Very unpleasant on a hot day.
Just say that he looks like a dog turd. Anyway, faced with the prospect of court-martial for him and his men after this incident, Steiner is approached by Colonel Ruttle to take on this mission to nab Churchill. Now, I can't work out whether Michael Caine is doing an accent or not. Robert Duvall, he's definitely doing an accent.
You forget, Ruttle, that I am under suspended sentence of death. officially disgraced.
Is Caine doing an accent there? I don't know. I don't know whether we've got one of them for Red October situations going on, where Peter Firth, Tim Curry, Sean Connery, none of them are bothering with an accent.
No more tea, anyone?
But nobody's towed Sam Neill.
And I will have a pickup truck.
He's just soldiering on with his cod Russian accent, and the director obviously ain't had the art to tell him to stop. But on the subject of accents, without doubt the crappiest accent of the film belongs to Donald Sutherland, who's playing IRA bloke Liam Devlin.
My fight is with the bloody British Empire, but I'll fight it on my own 2 feet.
Yeah, that is bloody awful, isn't it? That's supposed to be Irish, but I reckon they'd have just been better off letting everybody do their own accents. Anyway, Devlin has been lecturing in Germany, and he's been recruited by Colonel Ruttle to be their man on the inside in Studley Constable to lay the groundwork for Steiner and his mates to arrive. And after parachuting in and making his way to the village, why he's gone through the field of cows, I've no idea. He must have stood in half a dozen car parks. Why didn't he just walk down the road? Anyway, he links up with Nazi sleeper agent Joanna Gray, who's already wormed her way into village life. You know, she's a respected member of the community. And she sorts Devlin out with a job as a local marsh warden, so he has the freedom to make the necessary preparations for Steiner and his men.
By the way, petrol for the motorbike. The ration allowance is only 3 gallons a month.
Yeah, so it's very important you don't waste fuel riding around willy-nilly, chasing after young ladies, but that's exactly what he seems to spend most of his time doing. Now, the young lady in question is Jenny Agutter, but she's only a young whippersnapper in this, Jenny Agutter.
And I'm almost 19.
So she's 18, and he must be pushing 40. Now, on the rare occasions that he ain't grooming a teenage girl, Devlin mooches around the village, getting to know everybody. Not sure why he needs to take his shotgun everywhere, though. It's one thing when you're doing your marsh warden duties, but surely he ain't planning on blowing the vicar's brains out, is he? Now, talking of the vicar and his sister, very familiar faces, as are a lot of folk in this. So, perfect opportunity for another edition of What Have They Been In? Now, first up, this fella playing the vicar, very familiar face, often plays such a posh authority types. Later on in his ecclesiastical career, he gets promoted to a pervy bishop in V for Vendetta. Now, his sister, played by Judy Geeson, she's working for the Air Force in this, which obviously a little bit of a demotion for her, because previously she was a sergeant in Carry On England. This fellow, the pub landlord, well, he survives the war, retires from running a pub, and just becomes village security, blasting his rifle away at Simon Pegg in Hot Fuzz. This chap, that's Maurice Roves, don't fare so well later in the war. He gets captured, ends up in a prisoner of war camp, and escaped to victory. This fella here is a sergeant in this, but he gets promoted because in Escape to Athena, they've made him an officer. And this chap, who's the officer helping Robert Duvall with his planning, he gets a big promotion because he becomes a colonel in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And there's another promotion for this fella. He becomes a colonel in Raiders of the Lost Ark. And this bloke, well, he probably won't look familiar, but he definitely sounds familiar.
I buys me own.
Yeah, he's been dubbed, ain't he? Can you place the voice?
Buying drinks for us who's worked the estate for years.
It's Brian Blessed, isn't it? Brian Blessed. Very distinctive voice. But this fella, he takes exception to Devlin.
And you stay away from Molly Pryor.
Yeah, if anybody's going to groom teenage girls in this village, it's going to be me. And after he's snooped around Devlin's cottage, he works out that he's a spy.
This German.
But Jenny Agutter, she don't want him to dob Devlin in.
I love him, Arthur.
Love him? You've only just met him. Crikey, his grooming has worked a treat on her, ain't it? Oh, bloody hell, that escalated quickly, didn't it? Now, while Jenny Agutter's murdering the villagers to protect Devlin's identity, Steiner and his paratroopers have arrived. Crikey, you'd think they'd land on the beach, wouldn't you? They're all going to have wet underpants now. That's really going to put a dampener on the day. Any road they're posing as Polish paratroopers and they start scoping out the village. Not sure why. They could have just kept a low profile. I'm not quite sure why they're just swanning around for everybody to see him. But Michael Caine is posing as an English officer, and he's definitely doing an accent now. He's doing his posh English accent.
But I'd like to take these chaps on some harmless manoeuvres through the village.
But he gets a bit of a nasty surprise that threatens to chuck a spanner in the works.
We had no idea you guys were in the neighborhood.
Yes, you're quite a surprise to our group as well.
Yeah, you think Devlin would have found out about that, wouldn't you? But he's bloody useless, too busy shagging teenagers. And he wrote that the commanding officer of this American detachment is another one of the high-profile cameos that we get in this film. It's Larry Hagman, JR from Dallas. Yeah, iconic character JR, isn't he? Who shot JR? That was a big deal, wasn't it? His character in this is a bit of a Burke, though. He's desperate to see some action, but he's been stationed in blimmin' Studley Constable. Not happening in Studley Constable, is there? You know, it ain't like Dallas, is it?
You won't be leading us in, sir?
Lead you in, goddammit, the bastards are sending me home!
But we get another high-profile cameo with Donald Pleasance, who plays Heinrich Himmler. He's great in this, not in it much, but very good. Looks just like Himmler, doesn't he? Really does. And he wrote, while Steiner's men are doing these unnecessary manoeuvres around the village, a young girl falls into this watermill, and one of the soldiers bravely dives in to rescue her. Away you go! And he saves the girl, but it costs him his life. But worse than that, he's got his German uniform on underneath his Polish outfit, because they didn't want to get shot as spies. And so all the villagers know that Steiner and his men, they're old Jerry's.
More bloody foreigners.
Best line at film, that. And Larry Hagman is delighted that he's finally going to see a bit of combat.
Those Poles you ran into are Krauts. Come here to kill Churchill.
Because the sleepy village of Studley Constable has suddenly become the centre of the action. Unfortunately, it's bloody useless. He gets shot by Mrs. Gray, but not before his ill-advised attacks have killed loads of his own men. What a Burke. But unfortunately for Steiner, this has scuppered his plans to kidnap Churchill. But his loyal platoon sacrifice the Sens to create a diversion so that Steiner can sneak out and assassinate Churchill. I won't tell you whether he does or not. I won't spoil it. You'll have to watch it yourself. Find out what happens to Steiner. Now, regular Rayvers will remember that in my recent video, I critiqued Brian Dennehy's project management in the film Cocoon. His efforts to save his alien mates were a complete disaster, and I called for him to be sacked. But how do Colonel Ruddle's project management skills stack up? Bloody awful. What a stupid, convoluted plan this was. I didn't really understand what Devlin were doing there. Yeah, he set up some signals on the beach so they knew where to land, but they didn't even bloody land on the beach, they just landed in the water. Plus, they'd already got a spy in the village. Why couldn't Mrs. Gray do what Devlin were doing? All Devlin seemed to be doing were having it off with teenage girls, and the one thing they needed him to do, he ballsed up.
Yes, you're quite a surprise to our group as well.
And why did these blokes even need to parachute in? We see later on in film, there's an E-boat that goes to collect one of them. Why couldn't they have just swanned in on the E-boat and done a smash and grab raid to grab Churchill? They didn't need to be parachuting in. In fact, why did any of them need to go over in the first place? Why couldn't they just got Mrs. Gray to assassinate Churchill? She's obviously quite happy shooting folk. So yeah, that plot, complete bloody shambles. Now, we're calling for Brian Dennehy to get sacked, so surely Colonel Ruddle's not going to keep his job. Oh, no, they've shot him. That's a bit harsh. Okeydoo, time for Ray's ratings. Now, what were I expecting from this? I'm not going to lie, I was expecting this to be good. Very good cast. Duvall, Caine, Sutherland, Donald Pleasance, and loads of other good actors in it and all. So, yeah, I were expecting this to be good. I were hoping it'd be 3.5 stars. Now, was it good? Well, it was stupid. It were absolutely stupid. Completely stupid. Stupid. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I did. Some very dodgy bits in it, not least Donald Sutherland's accent. Plus his character having it off with a teenager. But Caine, he's great. And Duvall's good and all. So, yeah, complete cobblers. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I'm rating The Eagle Has Landed a 3.5 star, 3.5 star film. Right, Rayvers, as I mentioned earlier, Studley Constable, it sounds a bit like a West Indian cricketer's name, doesn't it? So it's time for a quiz. English village or West Indian cricketer? Right, should be able to work out the drill here, pretty easy enough. I'm going to give you a name, and you've got to work out whether it's an English village or a West Indian cricketer. So, what do we got? First up, Roston Chase. Village or cricketer, Roston Chase. He's a cricketer. Recent cricketer. I believe he's the current captain of West Indies, Roston Chase. Next up, Gayton Thorpe. Village or cricketer, what do you reckon, Gayton Thorpe? It's a village near King's Lynn in Norfolk. Gayton Thorpe. Next up, Dilton Marsh. Gotta be a cricketer, surely. Or is it a village? Difficult, isn't it? It's a village. Dilton Marsh in Wiltshire. Dilton Marsh. Next up, Grayson Shillingford. Village or cricketer, Grayson Shillingford. Cricketer! He were a quickie, a fast bowler in the 60s and 70s. Grayson Shillingford. Next up, Carlton Colville. Village or cricketer, what do you reckon? Village! It's a seaside town, Carlton Colville, down in Suffolk, near Lowestoft, I believe. Esmond Kentish. Village or cricketer, Esmond Kentish. Could be in Kent, couldn't it? It's Kentish. He's a cricketer. Played a couple of test matches for the Windies between 1948 and 1954, Esmond Kentish. Right, next up, Cleobury Mortimer. Village or cricketer, Cleobury Mortimer. It's a village. It is a village. Or Nickel Market Town, at any rate, in Shropshire. Cleobury Mortimer. Next up, Wilton St Hill. What's Wilton St Hill? Is it a village? Or is it a cricketer? He's a cricketer from Trinidad, played in the first ever West Indies Test match against England. There you go. 2 more to go. Berkeley Gaskin. Village or cricketer, Berkeley Gaskin. He's a cricketer. Played a couple of tests in the late 1940s, did Berkeley Gaskin. Our last one. Village or cricketer, Quintrell Downs. Village or cricketer, what do you reckon? Quintrell Downs, great name. It's a village. It's a village in Cornwall, near Newquay. Quintrell Downs. There you go, that was tough, weren't it? That was tough. Give yourself a pat on the back if you got all them right. Ooh! Well, I hope you enjoyed my review of The Eagle Has Landed, Rayvers. And if you did, poke the old like button for me. Give it a good old poke. Maybe poke it with a plastic shoehorn hand, if you've got one to hand. Remember to share our reviews with your mates and subscribe to the channel if you ain't already a subscriber. Very much appreciated, as are all them lovely comments you lot keep popping on. Thank you so much for them. Make my day reading them, there you do. And today's review was selected by one of our patrons over on my Patreon page. And as well as being able to submit their suggestions for reviews, the patrons get early access, avoiding the sodding copyright bots, regular brain teaser challenges, and monthly podcasts. So there's all sorts of shits and giggles over on Patreon. Come and join us over there. I'll pop a link in the description below. Be lovely to see you. And copyright box permitting, we'll be back with another review for you very soon. So I will see you next time. Okeydoo!